Krotoa, a translator, negotiator, and peacemaker. The first native to marry a settler. Also the first native to be baptized as a Christian. Some call her the mother of the colored Afrikaners, for the huge role that she played in the creation of the Afrikaans language. Her descendants also include white Afrikaners such as Paul Kruger, Jan Smuts, and F.W. de Klerk. Royal and humble greetings to each and every one. On this video, we're going to be looking at the life of Krotoa, also known as Eva van der Kamp. Krotoa was born in 1642 into the Chamisa community of traders who founded the port of Cape Town. Her uncle, Chief Autsumatu, can be credited with establishing the trading settlement. He was the leader of the Khoi groups called the Goringa Kona. Now the Chamisa is the river flowing from Table Mountain to the sea at Table Bay. The Table Mountain used to be called the Orinkwago. This was the contact point between these natives or the Khoi people and the passing ships on the shoreline frontier of the Cape Peninsula. It is recorded that years before the arrival of Jan van Reibeeck, Chief Autsumatu went to Java with a British sailor in 1630, where he was exposed to different languages, including English and Dutch. When he returned, he established a formal trading community and a port logistical station for passing vessels. Jan van Reibeeck, on his journal, admits that Autsumatu was highly conscious on his role in having started the port. Autsumatu is known as Harry de Strandloper. The Chamisa settlement was a free uncolonized growing port run by the natives. They had left other groups and began a new economy of trading, facilitating and running a communication service, helping to gather woods for ship repairs, selling salt and meat supplies. The port served shipping from countries like Netherlands, England, France, Denmark, Portugal. This was the world into which Krotoa was born and raised until 10 years of age. As a result of her uncle Autsumatu's prominent position, she was exposed to many languages and new ideas. At about 12 years of age, she was taken to work in the household of Jan van Reibeeck, the first governor of the Cape Colony, where she learned Dutch and Portuguese, and like her uncle, worked as an interpreter for the Dutch who wanted to trade goods for cattle. For her services, she would receive goods such as tobacco, brandy, bread, beads, copper. And when visiting her family, her Dutch masters expected her to return with cattle, horses, seed pearls, and tusks. Unlike her uncle, however, she was able to obtain higher position with the Dutch hierarchy, as she also served as a trading agent, ambassador for a high-ranking chief, and peace negotiator in times of war. The life and story of Krotoa paints a clear picture of how the Dutch newcomers were initially depending on the natives, and how she was able to provide reasonable and reliable information about the local inhabitants. And you must also keep in mind that the arrival of the Dutch in April 1652 was not viewed as negative. Many Khoi people saw an opportunity that will benefit both parties. During the period that Krotoa worked for Jan van Reibeeck's wife, Maria, her Dutch improved. She spent 10 years of her life with the Van Reibeecks. At first, Jan van Reibeeck praised her work, but later began to distrust her. She even treated her with disdain, saying that she is misleading him, telling him what she thought he wanted to know rather than the truth. During this time, Krotoa's uncle, Autsumatu, was treated as an enemy by Van Reibeeck, and his community of Chamisa traders was destroyed. Krotoa knew a lot about the Dutch settlers. and she was influenced by both cultures, the Dutch culture and the Khoi culture. Some say she was treated as part of the family member by the Van Reibeecks, but there's no proof of that because she tried escaping a couple of times but was caught and brought back. And there was no attempt made by Jan van Reibeeck to baptize her, as this will be the only way she will be regarded as Christian and part of the Dutch society. She was sharp enough to know this, and she was baptized at the age of 22 at her own request. The Dutch renamed her Eva. This was at the time when Jan van Reibeeck was leaving the Cape. Krotoa was both clever and wise, and she was suspected of aiding her people with advice and strategic information during the First Khoi-Dutch War. But also, without Krotoa and the information she provided, Jan van Reibeeck would have never been able to obtain such information about the natives. After the removal of Van Reibeeck with a new governor, Krotoa was very vulnerable. At this time, Krotoa already had 2 children. The first one she got when she was 15, and the second one when she was around 17. It's uncertain who the father is. On some writings, it says that it was a French traveler or lieutenant. In 1664, she married a surgeon from Denmark, Peter Hafgaard, who the Dutch called Pieter van der Meerhof. She was thereafter known as Eva van Meerhof, the first Khoi to marry according to Christian customs. They left and went to Robben Island, where Van der Meerhof was appointed superintendent, and briefly returned in 1666 after the birth of Eva's 3rd child in order to baptize the baby. Peter van der Meerhof died in Madagascar 2 years later. After his death, a new governor was appointed, Zacharias, and unlike the governor before him, he held extremely negative views towards the Khoi people. And because at this point, the Dutch settlement was secure, he didn't find a need for Eva as a translator anymore. In 1669, she was imprisoned, then banished to Robben Island. One of Van Reibeeck's niece, Elizabeth, adopted Krotoa's children when she was banished. Krotoa was suffering a lot during that time. Some writers say she was struggling with mental problems and even abuse of alcohol. Krotoa died July 1674 and was buried September 1674. About 100 years later, her bones were removed to an unmarked grave. All of Krotoa's children were from white men and were baptized as Christians. Her life is full of hidden stories, from the Chamisa settlement to the first engagement with the Dutch, being able to speak multiple languages in the 1650s. Many historians credit her for being one of the founders of the Afrikaans language. Now this was the life of Krotoa from the Goringa Khona people. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Until the next one, thank you for watching.